What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are doing the 79th installment of Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing my Gemini Jet's 1:400 scale American Airlines Fokker 100. Let's bring in a white whale as we have officially passed Airliners International 2025 in Atlanta. I'll talk more about the upcoming episodes for this series after we do this review, but let's go ahead and take a look at this very lovely model. I unboxed this a couple months ago, actually 3 months ago from this video coming out, maybe even closer to 4 at this point, because it will be July when this video is posted, so, you know, crazy how time flies. I've said that many times before, but here we are. So I'll go ahead and bring the box into view, and once I return the model into the frame, I'll talk about the story of how I got it a little bit. I did do that in the unboxing too, so if you want more details, you can check that out after this video, since I do explain a little further. Here we have the Gemini Jets logo, image of the plane, aircraft logo, airline logo, and there's the Made for Collectors by Collectors slogan, which is placed down there in that little slot between that white section and then the red section for 1:400 scale die-cast model aircraft. There's the plastic cradle inside, which would contain the model, and then bring in the pamphlet into view. So there you get all the information about the aircraft type, along with other applicable details. You can pause to read it. And then the bottom of the box with the advertising in yellow text. This side has the Gemini Jets logo, a very tiny airline, or aircraft manufacturer, excuse me, the very tiny aircraft manufacturer logo. Image of the plane, and then the outer number is GJAAL 104. This model was released in November of 2008, so this must have been one they planned out a while ago, and then they never got to doing it until that many years later. Top of the box is the adult collectible model warning and other barcode stuff. And there's the right side, and then the back side. American Airlines officially licensed product right there, and copyright date 2008, and everything else. As real as it gets in the standard font and not the other font that they have had, that they would have had at the time on their other boxes. So that's how that is. So as I bring this model into view and get this camera set up, I'll summarize the story that I mentioned in the unboxing of this. So it was the night of my 21st birthday. I did not go out to party or anything. I just stayed in my room all night. I was talking with some friends, and I found this model on eBay. So naturally, I had a very intense reaction. So I told them about what I had just found, and they told me to buy it. And it was on eBay from a store, I think it was called Diecast Treasures, something like that. I've seen their prices on their other listings. They were questionable, but, you know, this thing was $100, so I had no choice but to buy it, because who knows if I was going to find one again, especially for a cheaper price. So I decided to take the bait and buy it. And here we are with a very lovely white whale in the collection. Super happy to have this. This is my first ever Fokker 100 as well. I don't have any of the other jet aircraft. I have that F-50 of Lufthansa City Line, so I might do a retro review on that later on. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. But again, I'll talk about what's coming up for this series as we move forward once we're done with this retro review. So starting off at the front, sorry about that, bumped into the camera there with the side of my palm. Starting off at the front, we have the nose cone and then the cockpit windows, F-100 luxury jet titles underneath there. There's the nose gear door with the fleet code to Alpha Alpha, along with the nose gear itself. L1 door back behind that, along with the very tiny One World logo. You can just about see it there. Then we have the nice ovular-shaped windows for the passengers, along with the American Airlines titles above there. This polish is immaculate on this, by the way. I love it. And then there's the main landing gear right there, along with the overwing exits. And then towards the end of the cheat line, you can see the fleet code printed underneath the engines. And these engines specifically, I do not know what they are, but these engines, they are Rolls-Royce Tay Mark 65015 turbofans. So very interesting engines on this type. But there you go. And then the tail with the aircraft registration, November 1400 Hotel, American logo, and the American flag. And there's an obvious reason as to why they chose that registration. It's pretty clear to me. And then on the right side of the aircraft, there's a couple luggage doors on that side, looking good. One back over there, and kind of printed weirdly. Ugh. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be IRL. I just noticed that. That can't be good, but I guess it's because of the seam. So, you know, you can't really print that accurately, but that's not a big deal. And then there's the tail once again. And you can also see the doors there, which would open up when the aircraft is landing for the reverse thrust. And there's also a little molded detail there. You can kind of see that little air inlet or something, which is only on the right side. That's interesting. I don't know much about that. Very, very cool stuff right there. Great mold from Gemini. They need to use it more. Definitely deserves its usage, especially with those Alliance releases that they did a few years ago. They should return to this type and make some more, because I think there's some really good airlines out there that could use a release in this scale. Bottom of the aircraft, you have the Gemini Jets logo, stand hole, and printed details in the polish. And then the top of the aircraft, there's the overwing exit markings along with the black stripes on the tips of the wings, which I think are for anti-ice purposes. Could be wrong on that. And then there's also a molded detail there with one of the little gray pieces just behind that. I'll go ahead and zoom in on that so you can see it. It might be hard to see with my background, but it's a little bump, like right about there, right where my finger is at. That's what's going on there. It's just behind the overwing exit doors. So overall, a very awesome model from Gemini Jets from over nearly 16 years ago now, and a white whale for the Retro FSD fleet. Super excited to have this, and I've used it in a 1992 update, so if you want to go check that out, I will also have that linked in the description, so if you want to see that video. But now let's take a look at the real-life aircraft's history. It has a very storied one at that. This aircraft first flew on May 31st of 1991, and it was noted that she had the test registration Papa Hotel-Lima November India. Now, all the aircraft typically have test registrations, but they're printed on another part of the webpage that I use to put this information together, so I figured I would throw that in there. She was delivered to American in July of 1991 as November 1400 Hotel. Now, I would think this was probably the first one that they ever got, because that sounds pretty in line with the time frame in which this aircraft debuted with American Airlines. So just taking a quick look on the historical fleet. And for the F-100, it did debut in 1991, so yeah. And the aircraft was retired in 2004. The type as a whole was retired in 2004 and replaced by the regional jet, specifically the CRJ 700. So this aircraft has a little more capacity than the CRJ, but in terms of the size, it's about the same. So after American retired the type, she went to Jetsgo, a Canadian airline, in March of 2004, and the airline shut down 1 year later. So then she went overseas to Europe. She started off with Carpat Air in Romania in April of 2006 and was re-registered to Yankee Romeo-Foxtrot Kilo Alpha. And I should mention as well with the Jetsgo, she did get re-registered to Charlie-Golf Kilo Zulu Charlie when she was with them before they shut down. And then with Carpat Air, she was leased to several carriers. She first went to Alpi Eagles in Italy from February to May of 2007, Adria Airways in Slovenia from April to September of 2008, and then her last ridden operator on the lease was Petro Air from Libya, November 2009 to January 2010, and then again in February of 2010. After that, she went back to Carpat Air, and the aircraft was put into storage in July of 2020. So the aircraft currently in storage, at least for the moment. So whether or not it'll go back into service is to be seen, but I'm guessing Carpat Air, they probably don't want anything to do with the F-100 type anymore. So just taking a look at their fleet information, they actually do have 3 of them, and they did retire the type in 2023. So yeah, this type is not coming back to that Romanian airline. And they also have a couple of, actually only have 3 active aircraft. Good lord, they actually retired a bunch. And it's 2 A319s, 1 A320. So that is the active fleet for Carpat Air. And other notable aircraft, they had the Yak-40, which is a Soviet aircraft. It is a tri-jet, and it has like a really cool wing design on it. They had one of them for 4 years between 1999 and 2003. So that is this American F-100 for this episode of Retro Reviews. Now to talk about the upcoming episodes, because I don't have any recorded beyond this point as I'm making this specific video here in April, I will be doing the next several retro reviews on various subjects that I picked up during the Airliners International Convention in Atlanta. What exactly, I can't tell you yet. I don't know if I'll have the massive unboxing posted before this episode or not. I'll just have to figure out the schedule, but it will be up on my Instagram page if you want to see when that's supposed to come out or when it was released, so you can go check that video out after this one. But I'm hoping to pick up some really good stuff from the convention and see if I can find some other interesting retro models, maybe get that last white whale if I don't have it already, or, you know, just anything else that might pique my interest. So be on the lookout for those future episodes of Retro Reviews. Super excited for the convention as I record this, still a ways out, but for all the content that's coming to the channel, you can check out some previous videos that I made. I should have some sort of channel update or announcement uploaded prior to this episode if you want to go check that out for more details if you haven't seen it yet specifically or want a recap on what's coming. But rest assured, it's going to be a lot of content coming to the channel through what I'm tentatively planning on for the rest of the year. But again, that video will have all the details that you need to know for that. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.